Day 13. Infinity Arms. Infinity Arms? Are we? A red hill covered in corpses and a gray sky. The heavy clouds shifting away announce the end of the battle. I know this scene. This is a scene I've seen many times already. This is one of the battles Saber experienced. These are the remains of a battleground so familiar to her as she is always victorious. After this, she will return to her castle. The people will celebrate her victory and they will prepare for the next battle. This is her everyday life. This is but one of the 12 great battles she has gone through. That is why she does not bear any memories of the victory, but merely accepts it calmly. I think about such random things. That is not a dream. Just a cold truth that cannot be changed. From the moment she drew the sword from the stone, she was not human. After becoming a feudal lord like her father, she became a king with many knights. She was called King Arthur, or Artoria, and the girl who had tried to become a knight had her life turned around. No. It is more correct to say that it ended. At that instant, the girl with childlike features disappeared and the only existence permitted was that of the King of Knights. She acted as the son of the king. That is because the one to govern many territories and control the knights had to be male. The only ones who knew that the king was just a girl were her father and the magus. She literally covered herself in steel and sealed the truth for all that truth through all her life. Okay, we've seen this line before. Oh, okay, now here we go. This is new. Why didn't I realize what that meant? Someone placed before everyone managed to keep her identity secret. I don't know what suffering she went through as I'm only watching from a distance. Time passes. These must be her memories of the 10 years she spent as king. There's only one thing common to all of them. Even on the throne, she was alone. Even in the hallway. Even on the battlefield. No one talked to her. Even the loud round table filled with the knights' tales of bravado falls silent when the king steps in. So that's what it means. She was only idolized. Many knights looked down on Artoria, who looked like a small kid, and they did not approve of swearing their sword to her. But because she drew out the sword that they could not, they had to obey her, at least in form. They just accepted the disgrace, believing that it would pass. Even if she drew the sword, she's just a child. Even with Merlin's help, she'll fail soon enough. When that happens, they need to only take the holy sword away from her and reselect the king. That's what most of the knights thought. But the results were different. The knights had just entered adulthood. The knight that just entered adulthood was a king without flaw. She brought peace to the fighting lords and immediately fought off the invading enemies. Of course, it wasn't because of the power of the Holy Sword. The Holy Sword only protects the king. It is the king's power that protects the country. And in that way, she suppressed the knights with results. The protection of the Holy Sword works only against enemy swords. It does not help rule over people's hearts. She worked hard to be an ideal king. And so the knights had to follow their king. They suppressed the dissatisfaction with the young king, as they saw he was perfect. She tried to be an ideal king. Being an ideal king was a condition of their support. There was no room for the human Artoria. The girl determined to be king. A great knight who pulled out the holy sword, who did not age from that moment on, and one who won 12 great battles. The more perfect she was, the more people kept away from her. The longer she stayed that way, the more isolated she became. That was her true identity. But she still did well. No, she did too well. She defeated her enemies efficiently and minimized the victims in battle. No matter what kind of war it is, a battle will have victims. So she believed she should make sacrifices before the war to prepare the army and to defeat the enemy efficiently. She would exhaust one village to prepare the army, defeat the invaders before they could damage the land, and save 10 villages. She had to make a tough choice. Yeah, I'm not sure how long we'll be going, but yeah. Have a good one, Tom Soms. That was the solution she came up with as the king. And in truth, it was the best policy. But the knights must have been unhappy. For them, only the invaders should die. It was only proper to win without allowing any victims. There is no need to sacrifice one's own territory before a battle. See, that's... how to put it? How many knights would have been tired or hungry before a battle and would have died in battle if they had not, drained a village? But I suppose the knights sign up for death, not the villagers. To be fair. But still, it's unfair to her. We will win, so there will not be any victims. There will not be any victims, so the king's actions are fruitless. That's what they thought. Of course, that was just a fantasy. Once the battle began, the knights did not think about the small villages. It was only natural for them to trample over them, as the small villages are not what they seek to protect. The knights say it is only natural to be destroyed by the invaders, but it is a great sin to destroy them with our own hands. Of course she knew that. But a king cannot allow her personal feelings to affect her decisions. She kills her emotions to make a decision, and the knights suppress their personal feelings to obey. And after many sacrifices and continuing victories, the country became stable. The price of that was a revolt against the king. King Arthur does not understand human feelings. One knight said so and left the castle. It's a ridiculous story. Nobody wanted her to be human, but they revolted against her because she didn't have a human's feelings. The Age of Chaos continues. The knights, who had been dissatisfied with the king for some time, became more dissatisfied after that one knight left. They pushed all problems onto her and cornered her. Ruin was in sight. death if she could not solve all the problems. Even if she did solve them, the result would be the same. Such trivial things are of no concern to a king. Her mind will not change even if she is abandoned, feared, or betrayed. Probably because she had her mind made up long before. She abandoned her emotions from the moment she decided to pull out the sword. A scene from a few years before. Knights from all over the country gathered to try to pull out the sword in stone. But nobody could pull it out, and the knights were desperate to choose the most superior king by competing jousting skills. The knights went to the arena and forgot about the sword. It felt much like watching a festival from a distance. In the distance are the brave sounds of the cavalry. The roars of the knights are far away and there's no one around the stone. What did the girl think before that? Before she realized it, an unknown magus was standing behind her.
それを手に取る前にきちんと考えた方がいい。
He says he's not trying to frighten her, but that she should stop.
それを手にしたが最後、君は人間ではなくなるよ。
He also said that she would be resented by all humanity and die a miserable death. An undeserved one at that. She could not have been without fear. Because the magus showed her the end she would face if she took the sword.
いいえ。
But that just made the girl more determined. She nodded firmly, even when she was shown her future. The magus asks her if she's really fine with that.
多くの人が笑っていました。それはきっと間違いではないと思います。
She takes the sword. The magus turns his back.
奇跡には代償が必要だ。君はその一番大切なものを引き換えにするだろう。
And leaves those prophetic words. That's right. The girl only wanted to protect everyone. But to do so, she had to throw away the emotion of wanting to protect people. Because one cannot protect a country as king if one has human emotions. She accepted it and pulled out the sword. She accepted it and swore to live as the king. So her heart would not change even if she was abandoned, feared, or betrayed. She threw away her heart. The young girl decided to protect in exchange for it. Who would ever know of such a sublime oath?
戦うと決めた。
No matter what.
それでも戦うと決めたのだ。
Even if there was inevitable solitary ruin waiting at the end. And the end was this. The Battle of Camlan. One knight usurped the throne while King Arthur was on a campaign. Her country split into two and a war began. Oh, that one knight's a piece of shit. In the legend, it is said that the knights and cavalry were utterly destroyed. slashed away the knights that once followed her and attacked the lands she once protected. The knights who sided with her died and her body was crippled. There was nobody around her. That's normal. Nothing has changed. The only thing in her heart is her pride as the king. She knew of this end. But she still ran through her life because she believed something came of it. She has no regrets. If there's one regret, it is that the country is in ruin. She raises her eyes. She might be able to see the distant castle from this hill. But all that's there is the remains of the battle, a deep forest, and a lake she must return to. Yes, the hill she ran through is now a wall she cannot climb over. Strength escapes her shoulders. And for the first time, the girl lets go of the holy sword by her own will. And that is the end. It's only natural for the dream to end there. Because that is the end of her memories. So this is one end that cannot be changed. She worked so hard, she was resented, and she was betrayed. No one ever realized that she loved the people more than the country, and she was always the merciless king. That's terrible. She did so much for them, but they didn't ever really think about it, or realize it. She was never rewarded or understood. On the Red Hill of Swords, the solitary girl who was always betrayed is about to face death. Yeah, the Hill of Swords was very reminiscent of certain things. I wake up to the sound of rain.